Hey guys, I'm Alana from Win-Win and welcome to this week's episode of Insights. As you know, I love talking to interesting people from the mining industry to give you other options of career pathways that you might not have even thought about and to help you to make the most out of your career within the mining industry. Now, my guest today had a super interesting job in the industry. That's what he's done after his mining career, and the team that he's working with now have achieved phenomenal results for people within the mining industry, which is why I've been stalking him for a bit and wanted to get him on today to have a chat for you. I know that you might be time poor, so at the end of this video, we're also going to give you a free resource. So if you're watching right now from the YouTube channel, it's going to be a link in the description. If you're watching from TikTok, same me, and we'll send you the link to a free resource that you can download to help you to get results like what we're going to be talking about soon. Anyway, welcome Shane from WT Capital, who used to work in explosives. Welcome to the podcast, Shane.
Hey, Alana, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. What about yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good. Just in Perth at the moment, actually. Obviously reside in Queensland, but just here to visit my kids and just before Christmas. So it's good.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I've got to admit, I first stumbled across you when in my Facebook group, like we had a poll running about different ways that people were minimizing their tax so that they can actually exit the industry faster. And Siri, obviously with the help of Siri stalking me, came across your advertisement, which is how I've been following you for a little while longer. So thank you so much for coming on. Let's talk.
That's all good. Thanks for having me, Alana. All good.
Anytime. Let's talk about your job because you had a job in explosives in the mining industry, which a lot of people have no idea about. Tell me, how did you get into that job initially?
Yeah, good question. Look, funny story is that obviously I was born and bred in New Zealand. I got made redundant back home in New Zealand, and we just decided, chase that big dream like everyone else, come over to Australia, get the big mining job, uh, make it big and get all the money. So when I first come over to Australia, I moved to a little place in the middle of the desert in WA called Kalgoorlie.
Yep.
It's literally, obviously, you probably know Alana, one street in, one street out.
Yeah.
So yeah. And when I did move over there, um, I was in the middle of the GFC pretty much. So all the jobs were shutting down, and I had heaps of friends and family there. So I just went walking, and we just knocking on company doors, and I ended up being actually the local Kalgoorlie pool boy. So I was like servicing pools, yeah, and
That's
installing.
different.
Yeah, it was cool. It was good. But then, an opportunity come up to become part of Orica Mining Services, and then the rest is history from there for mining. I was in there for like good 7 years, maybe a little bit longer. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and then yeah, that's how I got
So,
into the mining industry.
yeah. So how did you go from like initially getting that very first job? So you were a pool boy and then you went just knocking on doors in Cal and said, hey, how you going? I'm here. What do I need to get this job? Give me a job. Is that how that worked?
No, we had people that I knew, like family friends in the recruitment space as yourself, but they just couldn't get us a job, like because we just didn't have, I went over with my cousin, but they didn't have jobs or traineeships or doing just brand new to it. So I
Yeah.
actually was cleaning one of the big boss's pools for Orica, and
Oh,
I just stumbled across. He come out, wondering what I was doing, told him, and then we started talking, and I got to know him, and pretty much he asked me my background from back in New Zealand, and yeah, just told him that, and we pretty much he gave me an interview, sent me to the right direction, and that's pretty much it.
that's awesome. And that's one of the things we always say to people, if you're struggling to get in, consider going to one of the regional areas because to get a job out in one of those areas is just so much easier. I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, 100%. Like when we first went over, everyone used to say to us, just go to the pubs, bump into the people that you talk to. You talk to so many people at the pubs, and especially in Kalgoorlie, there's so many pubs there. But
Yeah.
you talk to people, and you sort of get an understanding of the industry of sort of what you need to be doing. They'll give you phone numbers to ring. Obviously, everyone when they're drunk, they're going to give you all their boss's numbers and that. So and then that's pretty much what we used to do. Just because, like I said, we had no experience in the mines.
Yeah.
We fresh as it was the GFC, and then that's what happened. So that's how I got into that.
And I can imagine the guys giving you the boss's number were like, don't say it came from me.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. That's what they used to say too. And it was but it was cool. You shout them a beer, and then your money soon was getting run out because you didn't have a job, so you had to just find anything and pick anything up. So
Yeah.
uh, being in that, everyone wants a pool in Kalgoorlie. It's so hot. So yeah, I
Yeah,
landed
why not?
that. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, tell me, for people who have got no idea what you'd be doing on the explosives crew, from the moment that you woke up in the morning to the moment that you went to bed at night, what would a typical day look like? Like, what were some of the duties that you're doing, equipment that you're operating? Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I was part of the emulsion team, making emulsion. So, for the MMU trucks.
Yep.
So we'd be doing all the motion. So you start at 6, so you get up early. So you'd be going to work in the dark, coming home in the dark. When it's winter. You get up, so you do your pre-start, your toolboxes, get everything ready, do your handover, go to your get all your recipes and it sorted, and then load the MMU truck. So that was in a nutshell, that was us in a day. You'd have anywhere between 10 to 12 trucks that you have to load up, and consistently making the tanks full and preparing for the next day and the next shift. So but it was a cool experience. I loved it. So it was good.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, the MMU trucks are the mobile manufacturing units. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So that'll be like putting in the stemming, and then you'd take it out to where the blast holes were, shove it down the hole, and then the guys would blow stuff up,
Yeah,
basically. Is that
yeah,
right?
correct. Yeah, correct. So you load the truck up you load from the pipes, and it comes into the MMUs. They'd load it up, wait for it to be loaded up, obviously safely drive off, then pump all that emulsion into the holes where they'd be planned, and then they'll blow up. So, yeah.
Perfect. And being obviously in a town, it would have been different. So you wouldn't have had the mess or anything like that. So how did that work? Did you have to obviously get your own food, or did the sites supply it, or the company, or how did that work?
We've been in a small town. So when I first started, I was in the Kalgoorlie itself. So pretty much drive and drive out. So you just had your own food. You go do your own food, and then later on down the track, when I left Kalgoorlie, I was actually doing FIFO, so for a couple of times, a couple of swings, and that pretty much got over it when you couldn't spend Christmas at home. So and
Yeah.
all your typical, birthdays, family get-togethers, and I wasn't
Yeah.
that because I was like always, in town, drive and drive out. I got to do that sort of stuff, because I might have been there for the first bit and then leave for work, or vice versa.
Yeah.
But it was
Perfect.
always
And I'm
always
sure a lot of people who are watching this now, being the fact that it's the 5th of December, are starting to get that thought as well. Oh, I've got to be up here for Christmas, away from my family, so potentially residential could be a better option as well.
yeah, yeah, and definitely, like, especially coming to that time, especially if you've got a young family, and everyone knows that when you do, it just happens to be, if it's on your shift, it's on your shift. It's on your swing, it's on your swing. You just gotta, suck it up sometimes and do it. And if you got a young family, it's so hard for
Yeah.
you. And it's, those are the time stuff and the memories that you'll never get back, right? Because it's your kid's first Christmas or your kid's first birthday, and unfortunately you're not there, and
Yeah.
that's hard. That's hard. And if it's
Absolutely.
your first time out in the mines, it's like, oh my God. If you're single, maybe it's all good. But there's going to come a time when you are going to have a family, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to the job, what licenses and qualifications did you need, or would somebody need now to get one of those roles?
Yeah, awesome question. Like back then, I don't know what it is now. I've been out of the game for a little bit, but back then I just, because I was heavily manufacturing back home and
Mhm.
operating and in factories and stuff, like that was one of our main ones. I used to work in I don't know if people remember Griffin's, the Griffin biscuit factory. I used to work
Still
there. So
do.
like yeah. So like used to do all that stuff, build tires. So I was in the manufacturing stuff, and then that was, I had car license and had good referees as well. So good for references always work.
Perfect. And like a lot of people don't know that operating an MMU and getting a traineeship, like operating one of those trucks, is such a great career path, because where you can go afterwards is like is pretty awesome compared to the the normal jobs that people know about, which is the dump truck traineeship, where like half of Australia are applying for those jobs. So this could be a really great opportunity. And I know at the moment, I believe that you need the HR driver's license to get an MMU traineeship. So if you're watching, that potentially could be an option for you.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. With the HR, like when I first got into Orica, I was doing the sausages. People who is in the explosive game, they'll know the sausages, the actual dynamite themselves. So we were producing those.
cool.
And then our Orica actually asked me if I wanted to, step up and be a truck driver at MMU. So I took it on board, and they actually put me through my licenses. They put me through my HR, which was awesome. And you having an HR license anywhere, no matter what job, it helps. So
Yes, I
my
agree.
recommendation is go out, get your HR, spend that little bit of money to get your HR, and that can actually take you a lot of places in the mining industry.
Definitely. And it's a tax deduction. So why not? Like, as opposed to a dump truck ticket where they really aren't asked for on a lot of sites anyway, the HR can open up so many doors. I'm constantly saying that. So thanks for reiterating as well.
Yeah, definitely would. It really helps.
And, and tell me, what career opportunities could exist after you get into that role? Like, where could you go?
As in after explosives,
Yeah.
it just depends. Like usually when you're in that whole explosive game, it's people. If you want to go into if you want to move back into town, you look for chemical factories, any factories pretty much that are producing stuff. Your
Yeah.
shampoos, if you want to go back into town where you don't have to do FIFO and in the mining industry, I would look at chemical factories. Anywhere that there's a manufacturing process that you have to do. And
Yeah.
if you got an MMU, you can just be a truck driver, right? Like you can go anywhere you want. You can be, long haul driver, delivering freight. The options are limitless. So
Yeah, definitely. And for that specific job, who would you say would be perfect to get one of those jobs?
yeah, good question. Real good question. So I actually didn't think I was going to be perfect for that job, right? But I think having, able to listen to instructions, follow instructions. The last thing you want is put the wrong ingredients in, and it doesn't
Yeah.
explode, um, or putting too much of this in, and the scientists, geologists come back and say, look, hey, this isn't going off, and start questioning stuff. But I think if you're able to listen to instructions and follow instructions, uh, think outside the box, be able to, sometimes it will get hectic if trucks are behind coming in to load. You got to think out of the box. Okay, you got to, bring this truck in before. So having that sort of, I don't know, initiative maybe to be proactive,
Yeah.
and to actually be able to, when you're under the pump, be able to just be calm, stress free, and yeah, just yeah, pretty much that. I like just to do that. Main thing is listening to following instructions, because the last thing you want is it doesn't go off.
Yeah, definitely. That would not be a good look, especially when you're playing with explosives. So 100%.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
How did how did you find? I know you briefly touched on being away from your family at Christmas and all that sort of stuff. What do you think is the biggest challenge these days for people working in the mining industry?
Um, for me, I think it's social media, right? So you get that FOMO all the time in your face. It's people are sharing all these stories, and you got nothing out there. There's no option but to look at social media. So I think that's I think social media was just sort of coming in. Instagram wasn't a thing. TikTok
Yeah.
wasn't. Snapchat wasn't a thing. I'm showing my age right now, but like it wasn't a thing, right? It was Facebook. Facebook was it. So
Yeah.
like obviously,
Agreed.
yeah, you
I only
can't hit.
found TikTok last year. I was like, what the? I totally had the wrong idea about it. So yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
definitely, 100%.
yeah.
And I'm still like struggling with TikTok, sorry. But like back then, like you weren't allowed your phones on site anyway. You had to go back to the mess and the dongers and
Which is
that.
a good thing, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Like yeah. So I think with social media these days, you could it's hard. not to look at it and look at what everyone's doing. People are posting up, they're in that party mode, they're in that holiday mode, and you're thinking like, oh man, like I wish I was there, right? And it happens to every single person in the industry. Like if you say, it's all good, it's part of the job, yeah, it is, but you know yourself that you're missing your family, and especially those times. Yeah, the work might put you on a bit of a lunch, breakfast, if you're on day shift, breakfast if you're on, night shift,
Yeah.
breakfast if you're on morning shift. It's not the same though, right? Like you see these
Yeah.
people day in, day out. The last thing, you want to spend these quality moments with your families.
Yeah,
Especially.
definitely. And besides that, obviously, how did you like mental health is such a massive thing at like in the moment, especially. It's got a big spotlight on it. How did you find like, dealing with, or did you have any issues when you were out there, and how did you deal with them?
Um, Good question. Like gym was a big one out in the site, a mine site, like gym. You'd have, you know, obviously still had like FaceTime and that. And so you spend as much time as you can on the FaceTime on that day.
Yeah.
Really hard though. Like it's a hard time of year for miners, like either it's the pressure of not being at home, right? And the pressure of you're doing this for your family. You keep telling yourself you're doing this for your family. But then there's a pressure of like, what if, as mental health, like so much pressure you build up inside yourself. And then, it just, I think the way you just deal with it is if, read heaps of audiobooks, educational books, try and get like a good, meditation going on. I know that might sound woo-wee, but that actually does work. And
Yeah. I
uh,
meditate, so I totally agree.
yeah, gym's a big one, especially if you're, it raises, it builds so many good endorphins when you run or when you're in the gym. And yeah, that was a big one. And I think that's why a lot of boys just hit the gym. So they'll just go, and girls, sorry, ladies. So finish work, quickly shower up, go to the gym, then go to get your dinner, and then go to sleep. Just a
Yeah.
routine.
And definitely don't isolate yourself. A lot of people go out there and they end up like, spiraling, and they're just like, going to work and then eating and then going to sleep and then just keeping to themselves. Like guaranteed that's some people's personality, but still a lot of people will do it the wrong way. And you've still got to have that sort of interaction with other people when you're out on site. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And if you do see someone like that, like my main advice to you is just slowly try and bring them in, because
Yeah.
first time, second time they might say nah, nah, nah. But I think, and a beer always goes good. Like some sites you can have a beer together, just go, oh, come for one beer, and just have a yarn to them, because it's very hard for someone who's stuck in that situation to be able to be forward and come forward and, just say, oh yeah, cool. But yeah, just if you do see someone like that, just go and see them and just go and say, hey, how are you? And
Yeah,
just cool.
definitely. And how long were you working in the mining industry for in total?
I think about I think it was about 7 years, roughly 7, 8 years. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, it was good.
Um,
It was
and
fun.
did you have like, were you setting goals there? Did you have an exit plan? How did that work?
Like I'd love to say yes on the stream. I'd love to say, yeah, I had this plan, blah, blah, blah. Look, originally our initial plan was to come over to New Zealand from New Zealand, have that 5 year plan, that everyone has 5 years, going
Yeah.
to do that, then come back. But life takes control. Like in life gets, you end up, buying cars, buying everything, all the toys,
Jet skis.
right? Your jet skis, going on holidays, and you find yourself like creeping back to your old ways, right? So you find yourself having to stay in the mining industry because
Yeah.
there's no way. If you go back out back into town and you just go on a normal job, it's not gonna be able to pay for your habits pretty much. Not like habits, but like your cars, your whatever, your lifestyle, your lifestyle that you've created.
Yeah.
Going back into a normal everyday nine to five job is not going to help. So
Definitely. What about, did you go up there and have a savings plan, or were you just kind of winging it and
yeah.
buying jet skis? And
Oh yeah, I definitely had a
I always go
savings
back to that.
plan. Had a savings plan, but the plan, yeah, it was just it was a plan, and that's all. There
Yeah.
was no action behind it, right? So to have a plan, you need action stuff. And unfortunately, like I had a plan, had dreams, had goals
Yeah.
back then. So and nothing eventuated because there was no actions, So like if I was going to say, oh, I want to buy a property, in the mines while I'm in the mines, that's cool, but what's your action? What are
Yeah.
you going to do?
100%. And what would be your best advice for somebody who's working in the mining industry or contemplating going in right now, thinking, is this for me? Yeah.
In mining industry,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer of always giving things a crack. So um, if you've got a little inkling and this is your way to get financial, free, or to just get yourself set up, I'm a firm believer if that's what you want to do, just do it. Like just go ahead and do it. I mean, you can always say no. Like you can always say,
Quit.
this isn't for me. Right. So,
Yeah.
but you can't say that if you haven't given it a go. You can't
Yeah.
say that, oh, this mining's not for me. But if you haven't done it, then how do you know? So
Yeah.
I'm more like a firm believer. Say, just give it a crack. Give it a
Good.
crack. You
Yeah.
never know. You never know until you
Good
know.
advice.